We are ready to go, sir.
Thank you, Matt. Commissioners and everyone, welcome to our regular meeting on the Glynn County Board of Commissioners, Thursday, November 19, 2020, 6 o'clock p.m. We're being streamed live on Facebook and our YouTube. And before we go any further, I want to do a roll call, see who we have here for the record at tonight's meeting as far as our commissioners. And I'll go down and call your name. Let me know if you're here. Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Neal. Here. Commissioner Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Coleman.
Here.
Commissioner Brunson. He's here. We were talking to him earlier, but his microphone, I think, has gone out on him. Commissioner Booker.
Here.
Commissioner Browning. Here. Let's see who we have with staff, just so we'll know and have that on the record. Alan Hours, County Manager.
Here.
Dwani Patel.
Here.
County Clerk, okay. Aaron Mumford.
Present.
Pam Thompson.
Here.
Dana Pontello. Okay, she may or may not be here. Matt Kent, we all know is here. We wouldn't be live. Do we have anybody else that I missed? Okay, that is everybody. Thank you all for being here. Going to the agenda, public comment period. We have no one signed up. Commission presentation and announcements, we have none. So before we go to public hearing, Commissioner Neal, do you have something?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to add item number 4.1 to the consent agenda to adopt a resolution establishing Selden Park Gymnasium as a courthouse annex building and for other purposes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, have a second by Commissioner Quinn. Those in favor of the motion, I'll go down. Commissioner Quinn.
Here. Yes.
Commissioner Neal.
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yes.
Commissioner Brunson. He's still off the speaker. Commissioner Booker.
Yes.
Commissioner Browning. Yes. So that's 6-4, and we just have a commissioner hanging out there without any voice right now.
One that can't say.
Pardon? Yeah. So item 4.1 has been added to the agenda. Okay, item 1, it is a public hearing item, land use public hearing. Let's see. It's a public hearing item, and rules don't necessarily, I'm not going to go by the rules on this because we're just going to hear anybody that shows up, whether they for or against. And I don't see a whole lot in the audience. Matt, you got somebody?
Yes, sir. We do have one person in the audience to come up and speak. So if you want her to come up right now, she will.
Well, not just yet. They can come up, but not to speak just yet. Hold on. The first item is consider adopting an amendment to Chapter 2-5 of the Glynn County Code of Ordinances to add Article 9 to Chapter 2-5 to adopt a development impact fee ordinance for Glynn County to provide the administration and enforcement of said ordinance and for other purposes. We discussed this at the last meeting, and we have decided we're going to put this off and do some further looking into it down the road. But I think we need to hear from Pam and let Pam tell us exactly where we are with it. Pam?
Yes, sir, Commissioners, Chairman and Commissioners. Pamela Thompson, Director of Community Development. As you have spoken and as y'all are aware, you've contracted with Ross and Associates to prepare the documents and information necessary for you all to consider whether or not you want to adopt an impact fee ordinance. To even consider that, 2 public hearings are required on the ordinance. You held the first one on November 5th. tonight is the second public hearing, and then you can choose whether you want to discuss consideration of adoption this evening or put it off to a future meeting. You also held the public hearing for the capital impacts element at November 5th and took no action on that. So that has not been to the state for review, which would be a requirement if the board did want to consider impact fees. No action is required this evening.
On either thing.
Correct.
Okay, so all we're going to do is just a public hearing tonight.
Yes, sir. I believe that was
Yeah.
what you
Yep.
all said you wanted to do last
Well,
meeting.
it was advertised, so we have somebody here wants to speak. Pam?
Yes, sir. So you all held the public hearing last meeting, and what you had said was you would hold the public hearing this meeting since it was advertised, close the public hearing, and then you more than likely would not take any action.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Pam. Commissioners, y'all have any questions about what we're doing? Okay, we'll just go, pardon me?
I said no, sir.
Okay, all right, let's move on to the public hearing and let our guests come up and speak. Matt?
Good evening, everybody. It's not very often that I've got the full commission and some staff's attention, so this is unique. Many of you might already know me, but I'm Alex Muir. I work with 100 Miles, which is a local nonprofit that represents over 800 members, and the mission of our nonprofit is to preserve and protect Georgia's 100-mile coast and its communities through education, citizen engagement, and advocacy. I appreciate the opportunity to share these comments with you all tonight, but I do understand, as y'all just specified, that you won't be taking action tonight. I spoke with this commission first when you guys had the first opportunity to provide public comments on this process in September, and I want to reiterate our support for the board in taking the impact fee study and exploring the potential of impact fees in Glynn County. 100 Miles feels confident that this ordinance will help our community prosper from increased development and reconcile any potential negative externalities related to the challenges of new development without passing the burden on to Glynn County taxpayers. I've read the ordinance in detail, and I can see that it has left ample room for this board as well as the planning staff to make exceptions for development where the benefits outweigh the cost to our communities. Considering the allowance that I just mentioned for impact fee exemptions, which is written directly into the ordinance, I'd like to encourage you all to think of the impact fee ordinance that you have in front of you as a tool for Glynn County rather than a requirement or a deterrent to business. The only change I would recommend that you would consider is increasing the specificity of projects eligible for exemptions in order to eliminate confusion for developers as well as community members and to increase efficiency and transparency. As stated in lines 577 to 590, exemptions can be given for projects where there is extraordinary economic development and employment growth, or the affordability of a house project may be increased. This, I felt, was a kind of a vague phrase, and I would encourage the board to consider reworking this section to follow thresholds similar to those in Bryan County, Georgia's impact fee ordinance, which I've emailed you all tonight with that brief recommendation highlighted on page 15 of the attached document in my email. As this ordinance is currently written, developers are granted ample ability to apply for exemptions, appeals, credits, as well as the individual assessment determinations prepared by themselves or those who they hire, which would be used to determine their fees if they're granted that ability by the planning staff. Furthermore, the maximum fees that are listed at the end of the ordinance, just to reiterate, that's what they are, maximum fees, with a generous allotment in this ordinance for exemptions from this board, credits, and individual assessment determinations. It seems very unlikely that these maximums will ever be reached. This ordinance simply allows for the tool to be added to Glynn County's planning and development toolbox, and I would encourage you all to pass this ordinance with the minor adjustment I mentioned tonight that I've also emailed you as well. And I just want to thank the planning staff as well for making this process possible, and the commissioners and the chairman for engaging the public in this process. It's pretty exciting to be considering the potential for development in Glynn County. So with that, I'll wrap it up, and thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. And I think that's all we have. Bonnie, did you have any written comments sent to you?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, we decided at the last meeting we were just going to move this to some further meeting when the board decided to bring it back up. Is that right?
I believe that's right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, so we've done our public hearing tonight, and so we're going to move on the agenda. Pam, unless you got anything you want to say?
No, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, next item is the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the items on the consent agenda unless there's an item any commissioner might wish to withhold.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, have a second with Commissioner Booker. All those in favor, I'll call your name out. Or if you're opposed, let me know either way. Commissioner Quinn?
Aye.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy?
Aye.
Commissioner Coleman?
Aye.
Commissioner Brunson? Still trying to get him back. He's not back. Commissioner Booker?
Aye.
Commissioner Browning? Aye. That is 6 unanimous votes. Thank you. General business, item 5. Consider adopting an amendment to the Code of Ordinances of Glynn County, Georgia, to inset the appropriate article designation numbers into the titles of the scrap tire and solid waste management ordinance, the clean community ordinance, and the tree ordinance, to revise section 2-16-231-2 to add a definition for junk motor vehicle, to revise section 2-16-232 to add subsections pertaining to evidence of littering, to add subsection 2-16-243.5 regarding the control of litter and debris at construction sites, to revise section 2-16-249 regarding punishment for waste-related violations, to strike subsection 2-16-255A, to strike subsection 2-16-256, and for other purposes. Ms. Thompson, would you tell us what we have here?
Yes, sir, Chairman. Good evening again. Pamela Thompson, Director of Community Development. As you all are aware, through the work of Keep Golden Isles Beautiful and the City of Brunswick and Glynn County, there was a partnership, and you all adopted this revised and enhanced Clean Community Ordinance in 2017. It has made great improvements in enforcing a clean environment. However, code enforcement staff realized that there were a few sentences left out of the old ordinance that made it harder to enforce littering in certain instances, most specifically being, the best example being if there is informational, old letters, old bills in trash bags on the side of the road. We right now can't use that information to enforce adherence to the code. So these changes go through and add those things back in and just make it easier for us to enforce and to make sure we keep Glynn County as beautiful as possible. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Commissioners, y'all have any questions you want to ask of Ms. Thompson? Any discussion? How about a motion?
Make a motion to adopt the amendment to the Code of Ordinances of Glynn County, Georgia, to inset the appropriate article designation numbers as specified in item 5.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, have a second. Any further discussion?
I had one question there. Pam, I'm looking at this again. It says, let's see, to revise section regarding punishment for waste-related violations. I'm assuming that what they're saying there is they're going to increase fines or lock you up for 90 days or whatever.
It just makes it clear that it's a misdemeanor like our other ordinances.
Okay, but I mean, and I'm assuming the misdemeanor carries a monetary fine.
Yes, sir. It carries a maximum fine, and it is written there's a potential for jail time. In my tenure here, and as far as I know, we've never arrested someone for littering and actually put them in jail, but it does come with a fine. Yes, sir. Up to $1,000.
I guess that would be based on the violation, the magnitude of the violation. In other words, you go out right along and throw a cigarette butt out, that's one thing, but you go dump a whole dump truck full of garbage or trash on right away or whatever, that's something else.
Yes, sir. And
Is that pretty much
typically,
what you're talking about?
yes, sir, it is, Commissioner Coleman. And typically, we might have businesses that either landscape businesses that don't get rid of their debris in the right place, or commercial.
Okay. I've heard that one.
Or their loads. And so if it's a repeat offender of a commercial business, that usually warrants a larger fine to just help make it worth their while to secure their loads.
I got it. Yeah. That's the ones you got to catch in the act, though, in most cases.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I got you. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Neal, did you want to, like you were trying to weigh in?
No, sir. I'm just ready to vote.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll call the vote here. I'll call your name and let me know if you're in favor of the ordinance, of the motion. Commissioner Quinn?
Aye.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy?
Aye.
Commissioner Coleman?
Aye.
Commissioner Brunson? Still not back with us. Commissioner Booker?
Aye.
Commissioner Browning? Aye. That is 6 votes in favor. That motion passes. Item 6, consider initiating the planning process for special purpose local option sales tax, SPLOST 2021, with a target election date of March 16, 2021 for the SPLOST referendum, and consider sending a written notice and request to the mayor and commissioners of the city of Brunswick for a meeting to be held on December 1, 2020 between the county and the city to discuss SPLOST 2021 and possible projects to be included in the SPLOST referendum. I'm not sure who's Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Is this something you wanted to let the world know what we're doing here?
Certainly, commissioners. Good evening. So I was asked to several questions. So if the board would like to have a SPLOST referendum in March, there's 2 dates in 2021 in which a county can have a SPLOST referendum. One is in March and the other is in November. And there are a series of steps that have to be taken in advance of having a referendum. One of those steps is to send the Board of Elections a resolution adopted by the Board of Commissioners, which includes several details about the SPLOST, including how long it's going to be and the SPLOST projects, and it also requests the Board of Elections call that election. So if this board and next year's board would like to hold a SPLOST referendum in March on that date, we have to count back essentially 40 days. We would need to get that SPLOST resolution to the Board of Elections by the end of January, so that they can prepare, advertise, do their notices, et cetera. Counting back 30 days from that, we have to have a meeting with the city 30 days in advance of adopting that resolution. So that puts us into December in terms of having a drop dead date to meet with. And these are drop dead dates. These are not best case scenarios, but just at absolute minimum, when would we need to have this done? That meeting would need to be held at the end of December at the latest. And we have to notify the city of that meeting 10 days in advance of the meeting. So you count back 10 additional days. So we're talking 40 days in advance of when the county would be required to adopt the SPLOST resolution to put it on the March ballot. So If this board would like to, and it'll be a little bit of a bifurcated process because the new members on the new board, if the board waits until that occurs in January, it'll be too late to start this process. So if this board wants to set in motion the events that need to happen to have this in March, then you'll need to have notice to the city in that meeting in December coming up. Now, if you do this, you're not bound to go ahead and proceed forward with the SPLOST. If for whatever reason between now and the end of January, the board changes its mind. This is just to get the ball rolling and to make sure the requisite statutory details are adhered to. But you can, like you did previously for the prior SPLOST planning for 2020, once you decided not to have it once you initiate it. So that's possible as well. So you're not locked into it even if you approve this item tonight. So what's before you tonight is just the formality to make sure the board wants that. Obviously, if you don't want to, you don't have to pass this item tonight. No notice goes to the city, and then the board can decide what it wants to do going forward. If you do think you want to have a SPLOST referendum in March of 2021, the recommendation legally is to start that process, given where we are right now, as quickly as possible. And that's what you have before you. If there's any other questions about that, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Commissioners, any questions?
What he's saying is we can act tonight.
Well, I think what he's saying is
rolling. We talking about right now.
Yeah, I think we can act tonight to give an opportunity for the next board to make a decision about having a vote in March. And if the next board wanted to try this, we couldn't wait till the first week of January. It'd be too late. So this current board is giving the next board the opportunity to make that decision, with consultation with the city and the rest of the community, to see if we can proceed in March 16th with a SPLOST. I think there's a lot of difference now as opposed to back in May. There appears to be some hope on the horizon. I don't know how far it is with the vaccine. So maybe things are turning, though right now things are spiking in other parts of the country. But this gives us the opportunity for that next board to have the opportunity to make a decision in early January, or even up to January 30th, whether or not to call a SPLOST. So I would hope that we would support it.
Yeah. And I would like to also add, if we do not get it on the March ballot and it has to wait to November, before we could start collecting a new SPLOST would be April 1st of 2022. So that is a long way out. So we're just looking to have the opportunity to move this forward.
Sure. I don't see what we're waiting for, quite frankly. If you'd like me to make a motion, I'm ready.
Yeah,
Let me ask Aaron a question here.
That's okay.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
You
Let me
ready?
ask you a question. So, other than notifying the city and meeting with the city and sort of hearing what their wish list is, let's say, is there anything else that needs to be done by December 31st?
No, sir.
Okay. So then when does the new group?
You have to have the meeting with the city, right, Aaron?
That's correct. So you have to have at least one meeting with the city 30 days in advance of adopting the county's resolution. Only one's required, but you can certainly have 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you want to, as long as it's at least one. So it's certainly possible and probably recommended that when the new board gets sworn in, they also meet with the city. So essentially, they're going to be the board that has to adopt the final SPLOST resolution with the SPLOST project. So only one's required, and that needs to be happening in December, so that in January the next board can meet with them as well.
So to follow up on my question, Aaron, then what's the timetable for the new board to get impaneled January 1 or shortly thereafter? How quickly do they have to have decided on the list of items to be on the SPLOST, and that they will in fact move forward with the March 16 election? What's the timeline that they're looking at?
So I asked Chris Chanel with the Board of Elections, the supervisor, what does he need from us? When's his drop dead date to get the county's SPLOST referendum? And he indicated that by the end of January. So January 30th is a Friday. So that would be the county's drop dead date to have an adopted resolution, including the county's projects and the city's projects. And that's the final vote that puts it in motion to put it on the ballot in March. So January 30th would be the last date that the new board would have to make a decision on that.
So the new board's going to need to move quickly in consultation with the city, but you also didn't include JWSC and Jekyll. They're also involved in this, and get that all buttoned up by in the first 30 days of January. It needs to be all tied together.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And we have talked with JWSC preliminarily, and they're ready to proceed as well.
Yeah.
And I think we all got the email from Jekyll Island Authority. Jones Hook sent out an email saying they're interested and they'd have their list.
Yes.
And this board did a lot of the lifting to get a list together. So, you know, I think we're not starting from scratch. We have a list that was put together for the possible 2020. So we'll be working off of that mainly.
Okay. Well, let me just say, hopefully just for the general public out there, if they're a little confused about what is really going on, what we're doing here, this board, which is about to come to an end into this year, all we're doing is setting the wheels in motion and satisfying the legal requirements to set up the new board that's going to come in January. It'll be a new board. That's what we call a new board. Going to have new members on it. You know, for them to make that final decision if they want to move forward with having a SPLOST. We are not making a definitive decision as to whether they will be a SPLOST on the ballot anytime next year or not. We're not doing that tonight. All we're doing is voting to move forward with those items we have to accomplish by law during this time frame, during this time of the year. Come January the 1st, it will be in the lap of the new board. Some of the older members that are here today, there will be some new members on the board. They'll have about 30 days to decide what they're going to put on the ballot, if they can make that work and get it on there by the 30th. Is that right, Mr. Aaron Mumford?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. You know, so we'll look forward to January 2021 and see what our new Board of Commissioners can do with this. And I'm gonna plug the SPLOST only because been a commissioner for almost 8 years now. In my opinion, it is the best way to fund our capital projects. We always have capital projects got to be done. You could have 8 different lists full of projects that need to be done and could never get enough funding to do them all at the same time. But this is the best possible way to do it. And I'm gonna wish the new board all the best in the world to see if they can make it happen. Okay, so do we have a motion yet?
I made the motion. I said I was ready to make it, so I will make that motion to proceed with the SPLOST requirements for the upcoming year.
Second.
Okay, have a motion, have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. Commissioner O'Quinn?
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Booker?
Aye.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy?
Aye.
Commissioner Coleman?
Aye.
Commissioner Brunson, and he just texted me aye. There you go. He's hanging in there. He's trying to earn his pay is what he's trying to do. Commissioner Browning, aye. So that is unanimous with all 7 commissioners.
And I would like to say, Mr. Chairman, thank y'all for facilitating this for the upcoming 2021 board. Thank you very much.
Sure. You're welcome. You are welcome. I think you can tell that, Commissioner Coleman's going out, but he wants to see you guys have an opportunity to try to make it work. And I want to see you have that opportunity. I know, I think Commissioner Murphy, he's on board. So you all will have the opportunity to try to put some wings on that plane, see if it'll fly. Best to y'all. That completes our regular agenda. Mr. Attorney, do we have anything for executive session?
We do, Mr. Chairman. We have matters of pending and potential litigation to discuss, please.
Okay, commissioners, we need to make an adjournment temporarily out of this meeting and have a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation and what, land matter?
Pending and potential litigation.
Okay, pending and potential litigation. If we can get a motion.
Motion to adjourn and go into executive session.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Just let me hear it from all of you at one time. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned and we're going into executive session. So let's leave here and go to your Need a motion to come out of executive session.
I'd like to make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, just say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Anyone want to make a motion about attorney's recommendations?
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion to approve the county attorney's recommendation for pending and potential litigation.
Second.
Perfect. Got a motion, got a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you, commissioners, and thank you, Aaron and Alan and Dwani and everybody else that's been here with us tonight. And
Everybody's watching.
everybody's watching. Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Good night.
All right.